What just happened? I'm Dan. That's Jules. That's Bag Face. And today we're covering episode 4 of Presumed Innocent called The Burden. Just so you guys know, these videos will be out earlier from now on since Dark Matter is over. We're doing a giveaway for this shirt. Stay tuned to the end to find out how you can win it. So let's jump right into it, shall we? So Rusty and Barb cut the shit and just ask Kyle.
Kyle, there was a picture of your bike at Carolyn's house on the night of May 18th. Why were you there?
Like, what were you doing there at Carolyn's house? And he's like, what are you talking about? He kind of like plays dumb at first. And they're like, look, cops have these photos. We saw these photos. You were at Carolyn's house the night of. Like, what the hell were you doing there? And he goes, trying to see why you were always going there, Dad. And they were like, oh shit, you knew about that?
So you knew about your father and Carol?
I heard you two fighting about it.
How long did you know about that for? He's like, a couple months. And that kind of
I
caught
mean,
me off
it's
guard.
not like they're little kids.
Yeah,
They're
it's
not
true.
stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
They got pretty thin walls too. Like,
Yeah, right? You see the sister
Yeah.
just like
yeah. She was listening in. Yeah. So it's like he heard them arguing about it. So Kyle just wanted to see like what was so special about this Carolyn lady that he was like destroying his family over her. So he wanted to go check her out. I believe his story. I don't think he's a suspect. I think we can cross him off the list pretty early here. I don't think he's a suspect at all.
yeah, I don't really think he is either. I think it would be too predictable.
I just don't see it playing out that way. I don't.
It feels like it's, I don't know, too obvious.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like he would do it.
But Rusty gets really upset and he's kind of like really pushing, kind of going interrogator mode on him. And
Yeah.
then Kyle gets defensive and he's like, I'm only talking to Mom. Get out of here. So like that's where that conversation kind of stops. And then the two talk about it later. But we get a flashback to Carolyn and Rusty talking about the Liam Reynolds case, how Carolyn was sure that he murdered Bunny Davis. And I'm curious about these flashback scenes and like why they're showing us so many of them. I'm sure like they'll have some sort of outcome to it. What do you guys get from them? Like, what's the point of them?
So I'm thinking either it's A, to give you a look at the evidence that they used to convict him, so you can kind of parallel that to what's going on in Carolyn's case.
Yeah.
So like if you're able to spot those same kind of, evidence things and, whatever MOs and such, then it would be easier to connect that to him also being the killer or at least having some involvement in it. But the other one is like, what if he just like didn't do it? Because
I have a feeling that Tommy is going to use the exact same wording just to piss Rusty off. So he starts the case. He's going to use the exact same wording just to trigger him. Which
I could totally see that.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of got a hairpin trigger there. So
yeah, he does. And it was funny what happened with him and Raymond this episode. We'll get into it. So Barbara then catches up Rusty with what Kyle told her. And he said he rode by a few times and he saw Rusty going once. And then Barbara was like, what the fuck? You were interrogating him. Like, you're a prosecutor. Like, what are you doing that to our son for?
You interrogated the kid.
I interrogated him?
Asking like a prosecutor, Rusty.
Are you kidding me?
And then he brings up, which really confused me, but they kind of explain it later. He says, you played a role in this too, and you need to take your responsibility. And I wrote for what, but then it kind of made sense later. And I'm guessing for their marriage kind of falling apart and like the steam not being there. Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I gathered. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Simple enough. And then Herbert, my favorite character. I don't know about you guys. This guy's awesome. I love him.
He's great.
He's talking to Tommy. They're doing an exercise. Basically, they're practicing for when court is going to be in session. And Herbert just rules. And they kind of get into it. He's like, you drugged me out here in the morning for this bullshit. Like, fuck you.
This is what you got me up out of bed for.
He's giving him a hard time. He's about, I'll get you your file that you asked for. And that file is huge. It comes into play at the end.
I'll get that file to you, by the way, scumbag.
So Raymond then talks to Rusty about Kyle and then about Michael, her son. And he says he needs to think. And then Rusty's like, Barbara said she might leave me now. And Raymond's like, bullshit, dude. All this stuff she sat through and stuck by her side with, she's not going to leave you. She would have left you by now. So, like, it's kind of funny how Raymond and Rusty talk to each other. You could tell they're really good friends, but it's kind of like that no bullshit is allowed to flow on either side. They both call each other out on each other's shit. And then this is when Rusty gets upset and he's like, dude, fuck you. You think I don't feel guilty? You think I'm not consumed with guilt and shame? Like, do you not know me at all? So
I loved Raymond's response to this.
Yeah.
Oh, best line of the episode. So good.
100%.
Shame is something that you put on yourself, self-absorbed, self-centered. Guilt is more about owning and feeling the pain that you cause others.
He feels bad about it because he got caught, basically.
Yeah. Raymond's the best. I love that guy. And Jules, you're watching The Leftovers. You'll see he's awesome in The Leftovers. He's so good in that show. So,
I can't
all
wait
right,
to binge the next 2 seasons.
dude, it's great. It's great. I'm so happy you're watching it. And then Tommy talks to Carolyn's ex and Michael, and Michael says that he left as soon as Rusty went in. That's why there's no photos of him leaving the house. But they do have a time frame of when he got home, and he was there for around an hour. We find out later. And Tommy's asking about Rusty's demeanor when he was entering the house, and he's not really getting any info out of Michael. Really, like, Michael just knows when he knows type of deal. He's like, I was there, I was curious, I would take pictures, and that's that. And I think that Rusty did it. He told me with a straight face that he didn't do it, but he's lying. And I know he's lying because I can see it in his eyes. But that's just like the son saying that because he's really upset that his mom got killed.
Yeah,
so I don't think
it's like a confirmation bias thing, I think.
there's just really nothing to go with. It's all circumstantial with Michael. So I don't think they're going to get anywhere with badgering Michael any further unless he's the killer, which would be crazy. But yeah, I don't see them getting any like shock info out of Michael besides the photos that we learned from last week. Yeah. But then this is a great part of the episode, I think. Michaels talks about how he met up with his mom one time for lunch, and she was super upset about her work life. And she said
that there's a man at work who's beginning to scare her.
Didn't say who it was, but they had cases together. And in my brain, I'm like, it's Tommy.
It's
Tommy.
100% Tommy.
The way he looks, like, did he?
Suspicious.
When he asked, like, did she tell you who the man was?
Did she say who this man was?
Yes.
And he's just
yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So good.
He has a motive for it. He clearly doesn't like Rusty. Like, he wants to take his job. And what better way to do that than to throw him in freaking jail?
Yep. And pin him for the murder that he did. He's my pick. Tommy did it.
The way he was talking about when he was talking about that girl that he's bringing as a witness, and he's like, I'm pretty sure she's in love with Rusty.
Yes.
I feel like he was in love with Carolyn, and he found out that like they were having an affair.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. And it would make sense because he would have inside knowledge about the bunny killing.
Exactly. Nailed it. That's my theory, and it seems like it's your guys' theory too, which I love.
Right now, anyway.
I want him to go down so bad. I hate him so much.
Me too. He's a smug prick.
That would, oh my God, he's the worst.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make that even like a wilder twist is if he was actually the one that killed Bunny.
Oh my God, imagine.
Ooh.
Wow.
That'd be wild.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Get your theories down below, see if you agree with us or not. And then Barbara goes back to see the bartender. I fucking knew it. I knew that she would go back to see him. I knew
he's too hot not to go back to.
Yeah. I knew it. There's something there. They're gonna bang. So they formally.
I don't think I would have left the first time, to be honest.
Yeah. They formally introduced themselves. We learned his name is Clifton.
Barbara.
And there's another scene with them later. We'll get into it when it comes up. But then Rigo, huge part of the episode, she got a hit on the second DNA of the spermicide that was on Bunny Davis. She got a hit because this dude did like ancestry DNA or some shit. So it's Brian Ratzer, and Rusty's like, let's get the address. Let's go see the guy. So they go see him. And at first they see the wife, and she's like, he's downstairs. I'll get him. He comes up. He's kind of confused. Like, what are you guys doing here? And at first they say they're looking into break-ins in the area. And he's like,
if it happened at night, I work nights.
And he's like super defensive at first. And this guy's like weird, especially what happens at the end of the episode. But then he asks for badges, and Rigo, shows him the badge. And then Rusty's like, sooner or later, you're going to have to answer these questions. We like basically saying, we know something about you, and like kind of taunting him.
I mean, you're going to have the conversation at some point.
And trying to spook him a little bit. And he push a little too hard, maybe. Go ahead.
Yeah. Question though. Did it not feel like the way Rusty was saying that to him was because he knows that he has to do that?
Yeah.
Like it kind of felt like a projection thing to me. It's like, you're gonna have to answer these questions eventually.
Yeah, talking about himself in a way. Yeah, sure.
Right. Like you can say you don't know what's going on all you want, but
yeah. And then he pulls the wife card. He's like, hey,
Laura.
Hey.
Calls her name, brings her into the room, and she's like, what's up? He's like, oh, I just wanted to thank you for the coffees. And then this is like the breaking
Just poke.
straw. Yeah,
Just
he's
poking the
poking,
That
bear.
was
poking the bear. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
That was like when I was little and my sister and I would argue and then I'd punch her and then be like, Mom, she hit me.
But that's the last straw.
Hilarious.
Brian's like, get the fuck out of my house.
Get the fuck out of here.
And that's it. He's not going to talk to him anymore at this moment, but he comes into play later. And then Barbara, how about this part? She's frantically cleaning Kyle's bike. And Rusty's like, what the hell are you doing? He's not a suspect. Like, what are you doing? And then she brings up race. She's like,
Sometimes I think you forget our son is black.
Seemed a little
Historically a
odd to me.
thing. I mean, I get it. I didn't really feel like that was relevant to this storyline, but I can see why they would put that in there just to kind of give people a little bit more worry about him getting arrested, I guess.
It's weird
Yeah.
because this episode feels like not a lot happened, but it feels like one of those episodes where when everything concludes, you'll look back and be like, they gave me all the pieces right here.
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be right in front of your
Yes.
face. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we have the pieces, I just don't know where to put them, you know?
Yeah.
Which is the makings of a great mystery, which we're, you know, and by the way, I've mentioned this in previous videos. If this is your first time watching us, we're going by the show, not by the movie or the book. We're going by the show. We're acting as this is a completely new story and that they're going to change the murderer from the movie, which I've seen now because someone spoiled it for me. But anyway, Kyle's talking to the therapist, the family therapist, who was also doing couples counseling. And she goes to Barbara, hey, no progress has been made. And it's kind of seems like I shouldn't be the one talking to him. I actually think I should only be working with you, Barbara, because everything you're going through, your husband's under accusations of murdering the woman that he was having an affair with. That's a lot for you to deal with. I think I should be working with you and you should get separate therapists for everybody else, which is a valid point.
Totally valid. I feel like that's a huge conflict of interest with her treating like all of the entire family. But I feel like also maybe she should have recommended that she just go see someone else in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah,
Because I
sure.
feel like she knows Rusty. So I feel like she's got to be biased somehow, whether it's conscious or not.
If I had my therapist be like, hey, I think eventually you're going to grow resentment for your husband and it's going to turn into hatred, and I don't want to treat your son. I'd rather just treat you. I'd be like, you're fired. You suck.
Right?
That's such a weird thing for a therapist to say. It'd be like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you treat my fucking kid and not me. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. Right. Or
Yeah.
at least give her an option. Like,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I can
it's
like
really
I
weird.
can only handle this much. You
Mhm.
let me know what you want to do.
Yeah.
But she was kind of pushing on Barbara as in you can only handle this much. So you
yeah.
could yeah, she was kind of like trying to turn the table on her.
It was odd.
Yeah. And then Raymond informs Tommy and DeLay that he wants to talk to them.
He must feel that he's got us by the balls. He hasn't got my balls, Tom. Has he got yours?
And DeLay figures that he's going to approach them with a plea deal, which he ends up doing. And Tommy goes, no chance of a plea.
There's no chance of any plea.
Which he's waiting on that document from Herbert. So he thinks he has
There's no way that shit's real. I'm just
Yeah, I
saying it
know,
now.
I know.
There's no fucking way.
They
And
would
just
have
because
seen.
he keeps getting pushed by fucking DeLay for hard evidence, and he's like, "I'll get you your hard evidence. I'll get
Yes.
you your hard evidence." Then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, fucking DNA evidence pops up on his
Right,
fingernail.
right.
Like
Yeah, come
Like
on.
that would be one of the first
Yeah.
places that they would check, I would think.
you'd think.
For it
Yeah.
to come in
Also,
so late. Yeah.
You would think that they would check Rusty to see if he had any scratches on him if they thought he was a
Right.
suspect.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
that's a very good point.
wouldn't you think he would have some kind of like wounds from her defending herself?
Yeah.
You'd
True.
think.
Yeah. Okay. And then Rusty's talking with Maya, the new person working with him, describing what he did the night of. And he goes, listen, I was a little drunk. I was texting her a lot. And, you know, he was more than a little drunk. It seemed like he had a lot of drinks. And he looked desperate for her to respond. And she finally does. And she's just like, shut the fuck up. Just come over. So he went there with the intentions of starting their fling back up. And she did not want that. And he was at her house for almost an hour. And Maya goes, that's a long argument. You got home. By the time you got home, it shows the window of you being there is around an hour. You were arguing the whole time?
You were at her house for 51 minutes. Long argument.
And he kind of goes, it was a little bit more than that. And then she gave me a kiss goodbye. She's like, oh, she kissed you goodbye? And he goes, yeah, but it was just to give me hope. She's cruel. She knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing. She was fucking cruel.
Which was like weird to me. I don't understand. Like, she's playing him just to get him out of her house. Is that what he meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it was probably a part of their dynamic. Like she probably strung him along because she like knows that she's not supposed to be doing it. She's the one that's kind of been put in the position where she has to end it, but she doesn't really want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean that seems to make sense to me.
And then a cool scene, Rusty's trying to find more about Brian while Brian is doing the same and he's looking into Rusty. I thought that was a cool scene. And then Herbert brings Tommy the file, which is the DNA that we're going to talk about in a minute. Barb is with the bartender once more and he gives her his number. And I wrote down in my notes, they gon' fuck. But then right after that, she has a sex scene with Rusty. So I was like,
so
yeah.
I saw the beginning of that scene and just, well, I heard the beginning of that scene and I was like, fuck yeah, Barbara, get it. And
you
then
thought she was with the bartender?
He panned over and I saw his stupid little white hand and I was like, no, why would you do that?
Yeah, why would someone fuck their husband? God damn. Just cruel.
If he's a cheater and on trial for murder.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was a little, they did kind of play with you a little bit because they were, they exchanged numbers and then they show a sex scene with her and Rusty.
They did it that way though.
Yeah.
It was kind of beautiful directing in a way because it's like making the viewer think that she's having sex with the bartender.
Yeah.
But then once you get to her and Rusty, you realize that they did that because she's thinking of the bartender.
Yeah.
So like,
okay, all right.
in her position, which is kind of wild. It was really well done.
Okay, I like that.
It really was, and you could tell that they were both just not there for each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he was definitely thinking of Carolyn, and she was definitely
thinking of the bartender. Yeah, because they talk about it later how the sex was different. Yeah, that's true. We'll get to it in a minute. So then Raymond's talking to Eugenia, who is a witness who's going to be put on the stand, and this is the person that you were talking about earlier, Bagface, who Tommy said is in love with Rusty and will do anything she can to get Rusty off on this case. So interesting. We'll see what happens with Eugenia, but that was just a quick little scene with her.
Question about that though. If he thinks that she'll do anything to get Rusty like off of these charges, why would he want to have her as a witness?
True.
To discredit her?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think later on in the episode, he thinks that he can break her. I think he mentioned something about that where he's like, I can get her in line kind of thing.
Okay.
I can't remember if he was talking about Eugenia, but he kind of seems like he's pompous enough to
like he's definitely got a plan.
I think it's a good plan, but he's got a plan.
Oh no, I think it's a shit plan, but
yeah.
All right, and then we get the high point of the episode. So Raymond goes to see Fuck Thing 1 and Fuck Thing 2, and Raymond thinks he's in the position of power at this moment, and he's like, look, there was no blood on Rusty, there was no blood in his car, no blood in his house. There's nothing you can tie him to this. It's all circumstantial. Let's agree to the plea deal for obstruction.
We'll cop to the obstruction 3 years.
3 years in jail. You guys can't win this case. You're going against me. I'm better than you. Raymond's like kind of on his high horse here, being like, you can't fuck with me with this case. And then they're like, how about this? Slide over the document. And we find out later what it is. We'll talk about it in just a second.
Why am I just seeing this now?
We just got it ourselves.
Which we already talked about earlier. But then, like we were saying, Rusty and Barbara were talking about the sex they just had. And I think, Jules, you're right. They were both thinking of the other person while they were having sex. That's why it was different. And they both mentioned that it was different. And
yeah, well, and then she's like, oh, is that the kind of sex you had with her? And he's like, no.
No, she isn't you. She wasn't.
Liar.
She's not,
You're a
she's
fucking
not
dirty
you.
liar,
Yeah. Then she talks about her taking responsibility. And then she goes, that sex that we just had was us trying to prove that what we had is still there. But this conversation gets interrupted because Raymond calls Rusty and he calls him saying the case took a turn.
Your skin was found under Carolyn's fingernails.
And Rusty freaks out, calls it a lie, says it's planted, says they're framing him, and it's all bullshit.
She never scratched me. It's fucking planted. They don't have a case.
I agree with what Bagface said earlier. I think that's bullshit too. Jules, same.
I definitely think that that's something that they would do if they knew how shit their case was, especially if we're right about Tommy.
Right. Yeah, that's the big thing there. Yeah.
But my thing is, like, I don't really see that as all that suspicious. They had they were having an affair.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I guess they didn't have sex the night of her murder.
That's the thing. Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
So
it
he
would
remembers.
be like,
but I mean,
you think it'd be easy to defend because it would it would be like, okay, if he did do this, there would be significant scratches on him if she was trying to defend herself, and there's no scratches on
And
him.
like that in
And why did
combination
it
with
take
him,
so long?
it wasn't found during the initial autopsy. It took
Yeah.
how long for this to finally come forward when they just so happened to have a shit case on their hands that they knew they were going to lose? There's no
Yeah.
blood on Rusty or in his car. How the hell do you expect that to happen? There's no way he cleaned all of that. And I'm sure if they're any kind of decent investigators, they would luminol it or whatever. It just doesn't seem like the skin under the nails is a nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah,
There's just other ways that could have happened.
Tommy thinks it's the smoking gun that's going to nail him away, but
I don't think so.
We'll see what comes with it next week. What do you guys think? Let us know down below. And then the episode's ended in a crazy note. So there's banging on the door. It's absolute chaos. It scares the shit out of Jaden.
What's going on, Jaden? Wait a minute, hold on.
Russ.
What's wrong? I don't know. Hey, calm down.
I was just watching TV.
Okay, honey.
Everybody's like, Jaden, get away from the door. Get away from the door. And then we see it's Brian. And
Poor
Brian's
Jaden
like,
was just
I know.
so shook.
Yeah, it sucked. Sucked for her. And Brian's like, you fuck with my family at my house. I fuck with your family at your house. And then Rusty, come on, bro. He goes outside and beats
That's
his
why I
ass.
sent that text to the group. I was like, God
Yeah.
damn it, Rusty.
Come on,
You're
man.
not doing anything good for your case right now.
Now you got
I'm
an
gonna do it.
assault charge. Assault charge
I
on
feel
you.
like if someone's banging on your door and they're like, I will fuck with your family, and you open up the door and you beat the shit out of them, I think you could probably argue that's like self-defense.
That's
Agreed,
it.
but
Yeah.
They
I
threatened my
also
kid.
don't necessarily think that they'll believe him that, or they'll just use it as evidence towards his violent nature.
True.
Yeah.
I could
but
see it both
also,
ways.
Because it's
This
not the
dude-
first time, you know?
This dude's sperm was at the scene of a murder.
Well, and that's
you go.
another
Just
reason why it's
tied to the
like,
Carolyn. Yeah, like it's so messy.
will that dude actually press charges though?
Right.
Can he?
I know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if this dude tries to press charges on Rusty, even though he was the one like harassing him first, isn't that just going to put a spotlight on the fact that his DNA was found at this crime scene?
Which, by the way, to our knowledge, the only people that know about that right now are Rigo and Rusty. That's it. No one else really knows about that right now. Not a good look. Not a good look. We'll see what happens. We'll see what comes of it. But that's how the episode ends. Loving this show so far. What do you guys think? Let us know down below. And before we do our final thoughts, to win one of these 4th of July edition shirts, you have to have the best theory up until the 4th of July, and then we'll send you one for free. That's all you got to do. The best theory. And if you just pull one from the movie, you're not going to win. It has to be the most imaginative, cool theory that blows our minds.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want it to sound like Alice in Wonderland, okay?
Yeah. Just the coolest theory.
No Jason 1 popping out into presumed innocent.
No, you can write that anyway. Mag. You want to write
wanna-
that? We can produce
a
that right
t-shirt.
now. I will be all about
Perfect.
it.
Dark Matter, Presumed Innocent, both in Chicago. So if you want to do a little fanfic on that, you might win. You might win. You might win. Yeah. But yeah, loving the show so far. Final thoughts, guys?
No, loving it.
I'm
excited.
I'm
every
just
week for this
excited.
one.
Yeah.
I'm excited to
I
see where it
really-
goes.
I really do feel like they're going to change it from the movie, because there'd almost be no point in doing this story the way they're doing it if they're not going to change it
Yeah.
from the movie.
They're going to change
So
it. They're gonna change it.
They're definitely going to change. There's a few things that I haven't seen the movie, obviously, but there's a few things that are like so current that I know that they have to be different from the movie. So,
Right.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous for this at first. It didn't quite get me in the first couple episodes.
We said the same thing about Dark Matter, and then we all love Dark Matter. So
I know. So I
Yeah.
have
This
hope
one
for it.
got
It's
me.
picking up. I like it a lot so far.
Jake Gyllenhaal
All right.
can do no wrong.
Yeah, he's great, man. I love him.
Yeah.
I'll watch anything he does. All right, open up to you guys.
right.
Drop your theories below. Coolest theory wins one of these shirts before the 4th of July. And then we'll send you it. So good luck. It's a fucking awesome shirt. Come on. Get those theories going. Type your wildest imagination out in our comment section, and you might win. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead.
I'll allow one appearance of Jason 2 in one of these theories. Just one.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Later.
Bye, guys.
I can see that someone's been directed not to speak.
What just happened?
What just happened?
What just happened?
That just happened.